As a business leader, have you ever struggled to get everyone swimming in the same direction rather than against one another, just like in Finding Nemo? If so, this video can help. So watch to the end for bonus material on how to make that happen and a recommended video on building a culture from the ground up to support it. I've been there, working with a huge company where virtually everyone is out for themselves and against their coworker. It's just ridiculous internal competition. So as the staff in my department was downsized by 50%, essentially because of automation, I was laid off. I couldn't show it at the time because it would harm my severance negotiations. I was delighted to leave that toxic culture. So I'm still not back even now to that level of income and have yet to find a culture that really maximizes employee potential, which is why I'm now creating my own company and culture. In the all too common, dysfunctional, everyone for themselves corporate cultures, everyone loses. Machiavellians that stay and think they've won likewise lose. So essentially what it is this. By focusing, with each individual focusing on their creativity and their cognition only on themselves, the ways to get themselves ahead and to defend against all political and other types of attacks from other people, the collective intelligence and creativity of the company is reduced to the lowest common denominator, which in this case is the individual at their least. It's deeply dysfunctional and makes the least of the organization and every individual within it. While the current culture of your organization may or not be your fault, as the leader, it is your responsibility to make the most of it. So maybe a good question to ask here is, why would anybody assume swimming in the same direction would help Nemo or Nemo escape or you succeed and help your company improve? Well, here's an important point. Excuse me, I need to drink. We don't need to assume anything. When it comes to problems and solutions, the wisdom of the crowd is a mathematically and statistical certainty, not an assumption. That is, it's been proven time and again. And one of the most famous and first examples of this was in 1906. Francis Galton collected data on 787 people who guessed the weight of a steer at a county fair. Well, this doesn't sound like anything special, but what they did is he took the average of all the guesses from 787 people who made those guesses, and the guesses averaged out to 1,197 or 1,197 pounds. The actual weight of the steer was 1,198 pounds. It's like, even when I first heard this, and it was actually one of those Google Talks that are held at Google, but they record them and then transmit them over YouTube and other things. And it almost seems psychic. It's like, wow, that means the crowd is psychic. Not really. Even though it seems psychic, it's only seems psychic until you put your mind in the direction of being scientific. Essentially, think of it this way. Some people were terrible guessers and grossly overestimated the steer's weight, while others were terrible guessers and grossly underestimated the steer's weight. Some people were good guessers and estimated the weight or near the weight, but overestimated. 50% of those who were good guessers also underestimated the weight of the steer. Now average the four groups: the terrible guessers who guessed high, the good guessers who guessed high, the terrible guessers who guessed low, and the good guessers who guessed low. And when you average those together, the seemingly uncanny group psychic consciousness comes to a mean. that's within 1 pound. And that's because literally that's all it is assuming the distribution is even between all these groups, it has to center on the mean. And if there were actually 1 million participants in this contest to guess the weight of this steer, the average probably would have been within grams or milligrams of the exact weight. Nothing to see here but statistics. It's simply counterintuitive to the way humans think. When they're not thinking scientifically, the intuition says, that's amazing. The crowd together is brilliant. Well, the crowd together is statistically average is really what it comes down to. So now consider another well-proven fact, and that is that people have a limited ability to create and pay attention to more than one thing really well at a time. While people used to think it was 7 plus or minus 2, more current research has shown us that it's more like 3 plus or minus 1, but we really only have the attention to pay attention to something, especially something complex, one thing at a time to pay attention well and to create a solution towards that, one thing at a time. So if we're all out for ourselves, we aren't directing our limited creative attention towards anything that advances everyone's interest. That is, no kind of common goal, because we're all doing that. And while we're paying attention to how to screw over other people and not get screwed over, that takes all of our attention, all our creativity to do. So if you take these two things and you combine the common goal with the fact that we have limited creative attention and put it towards one thing as a group, we get the wisdom of crowds, and then combine that with the, so we get the wisdom of crowds by doing it in this, the same direction, and the fact that we're out for the group rather than ourselves. And what we really get is we get the capacity of the crowd to, using that wisdom of the crowd, to work toward one vision, but only if we're swimming in the same direction like Nemo and his friends did when they were trapped inside the net. So this is exactly what Jim Collins repeatedly showed in virtually all of his books, using his very solid matched pair experimental design. This is particularly true of Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, which was an update of an older book that he did. The bottom line is, if we have a cohesive vision within our company and we want to solve a problem, everybody being out for themselves means everybody is swimming in a different direction in that net, and we all get caught and we all die, just like Nemo and his friends would have. So the empirical evidence is there, the statistical and obvious evidence from the wisdom of crowds, the obvious evidence that if we are all trying to solve different problems and we're applying our creativity to covering our asses and screwing others over, that isn't going to come to a cohesive vision which gives any sort of positive, larger outcome where people can work together to come up with better solutions. So remember how Nemo and his friends escaped the net? By swimming in one direction. So thank you for watching this far. I know that was simply an argument towards why we should do that, but it's critical because most people probably don't believe there is even such a thing or any good reason for people to do that, given the sort of default corporate culture that is out there, which is mostly garbage, nonsense, self-serving, and Machiavellian. So now welcome to the bonus material, and it is essentially this: how can we as business leaders do the same? Well, in simple and very, very 10,000-foot terms, create a cohesive vision with our employees, with your employees. Keep the right people on the bus, which is one of the phrases from Jim Collins. Get the wrong people off of the bus, and create your culture and HR systems to attract, find, filter, and foster the right people who can and will participate in collaborative creativity or to create collaboration, as it says here, toward a common vision. Obviously, this is only the beginning, as I've already said, but this is where it starts and everything rolls downhill. That starts with you. So if your purpose for your company is, I don't care who I screw over, I don't care what the effects on the environment are or my employees, as long as I get rich, well, then that's exactly the culture you will create all the way down your company. So if you want something, if you have a bigger vision, if you want a greater vision and you want to succeed, as again, Jim Collins has repeatedly demonstrated with real world companies with matched pair controls, a common vision is the way to do this. And a common vision that has been arrived at with the buy-in and participation of your employees, not in spite of your employees. So that's it for that part. Simple as that. If your vision sucks, if your vision is self-serving, so will the same be true for your entire organization, and down to the lowest paid or lowest ranking individuals within it. You created it that way by being or having the vision that you have, whatever that happens to be. Not your fault necessarily, but certainly your responsibility. So my recommended video for today is, and I will put it right there, Crush It Club 105, How to Attract Exceptional Talent. So though this is about how to attract great employees, it really comes down to the same thing. It aligns. You can't have employees that suck, that are all competing against each other rather than going towards a common goal. So though it doesn't directly address it, it does address the foundational issue of having a culture to attract people who could help you make that better company with a unified vision. So essentially, I would ask that you share this video with anyone who wants to work in a corporate culture that doesn't suck. And let's be honest, most do. As leaders, it's up to us to fix or improve that. This has been Crush It Club 253, Creative, Collaborative, Corporate Culture. My name is Tim B. Green. Bye for now.